Let's take a look at practice quiz number 1, focusing on parallelograms. Number 1 says, given parallelogram MNOP, solve for x and y. So I know in parallelograms that opposite angles are congruent. So I'm going to set M equal to O to solve for y. So I'm going to say 124 is equal to 2y minus 8. Then to solve for y, I'm going to add 8 to both sides, so I get 132 equals 2y. And then when I divide by 2, I just get y is equal to 66. So that will be my solution for y, and now I just need to find x. So notice x is sitting in this corner with p, and I don't know what angle n is. But I do know that consecutive angles in parallelograms are supplementary, so I'm going to use that to solve for x. So first I'm going to take 180 minus 124 and get 56. And then I know that if angle M is 124, angle P must be 56, because then they would add up to be 180. So then I could say 4x is equal to 56. And then when I divide by 4, I get x equals 14 for my answer for x. So now I have solved for x and y, and that's what the question asked. You always want to double check that you've answered the question they asked for, especially with geometry problems. So let's look at number 2. ABCD is a parallelogram if AB is 5x plus 1. So let's label side AB to be 5x plus 1. And CD is 3x plus 9. And then they gave us AD is 7x minus 1. And we want to find the length of AD. So we know it's 7x minus 1, but we need to figure out what x is. So we could solve for x because we know that opposite sides of a parallelogram are congruent. So I'm going to set AB equal to CD, or 5x plus 1 equals 3x plus 9 to help me solve for x. So to solve for x, first I'm going to subtract 3x. So I get 2x plus 1 equals 9. I subtract 1 from both sides, and I get 2x equals 8. And then I divide both sides by 2, and I get x equals 4. And so now I can plug that in to figure out the length of AD. So I'm going to write it down here where I have a little more room. So 7 times 4 minus 1 will give me 28 minus 1, or 27 for the length of AD, which is what they wanted. So that's it for number 2. Let's look on the next page for number 3. Rectangle ABCD has diagonals that intersect at point E. If AE is 4x minus 9 and EB equals 2x plus 5, find the length of AC. So let's start by labeling what they've given us. They said that AE, so I'm going to highlight, that's only half of that diagonal. So a highlighter helps that stand out a little better. And then EB, let me grab another highlighter, is going to be 2x plus 5. And they want us to find the length of AC, which is the whole diagonal. So they've given us 2 halves of diagonals, and they want the whole diagonal. So what we know is a property of rectangles is that the diagonals are congruent. And then they also, in all parallelograms, diagonals bisect each other. So that means in a rectangle that all 4 of those halves of diagonals would be congruent to each other. So we could set 4x minus 9 equal to 2x plus 5 to solve for x, and then we'll plug it back in to figure out the length of AC. So let's subtract 2x from both sides to start solving. So we get 2x minus 9 equals 5. Then we can add 9, so we get 2x equals 14. Then divide both sides by 2, and we get x is equal to 7. But then that's not the answer they're looking for, so we've got to plug it back in. Since they are equal, like congruent, we can plug it in either one, and it should give us the same thing. So 2 times 7 plus 5 gives us 14 plus 5, which is 19. So notice 4 times 7 minus 9 would give us the same thing. And so then AC would just be 2 of those. So we have to say 19 plus 19, or 19 times 2 to get 38 for the length of AC, which is what they wanted. So we solved for x, but we just had to plug it back in and then make sure to double it because we want a whole diagonal but the pieces they gave us were half of diagonals. So it's always good to be careful with those. All right, let's look at number 4. They've given us square ABCD has diagonals that intersect at point E. If angle ABD, so let's highlight angle ABD, they said that is 2x minus 7. Find the value of x, the measure of angle ABD and the measure of angle ABC. So I know in a square there are some very special properties. Each of these angles in the corners are 90 degrees, and then the diagonals bisect those angles. So all of the little ones, all of the half angles are going to be 45 in every single corner. So we don't have to really do any work to know that angle ABD would have to equal 45 degrees. And then angle ABC is equal to 90 degrees. So you just have to write those out. But then to solve for x, we just have to take that angle, and notice it's just the half angle of that corner, or half of that corner, and just say 2x minus 7 would equal 45, and then solve for x. So we're going to add 7, and we get 2x equals 52. Then we divide by 2, and we find x is equal to 26. And then we have all 3 parts of our answer complete. All right, number 5 says, given ABCD is a rhombus, find the values of x, y, and z. So some special properties of a rhombus are that the diagonals are perpendicular to each other. So the first thing I notice is y is right there at an intersection of the diagonals. So we would automatically know y would have to be 90 degrees. Then we also know the diagonals bisect opposite angles in a rhombus. So that means if this angle right here is 43, the one right beside it is also going to equal 43. And so let me go ahead and fill this in. Like all 4 of those equal 43 degrees, which will help me find z. So I'm going to set 3z plus 1 equals 43. I'm going to subtract 1, and I get 3z equals 42. And then when I divide by 3, z will equal 14. So then I can use the triangle over here to figure out x, because I notice y and x are part of this triangle, and I know 43 degrees is that other angle of the triangle, and then we know y is equal to 90 degrees, so x has to be what's missing from this triangle. So we say 180 degrees is what all 3 angles of a triangle add up to. We got to subtract the 90 and the 43 that we already know, and we would get x is equal to 47. So then we found everything. We have x is 47, we have y is 90, and we have z is 14. So that is it for practice quiz number 1.